Good morning, Happy Valley, and welcome back to another edition of the PSU 365 podcast on PennState.Rivals.com. I'm your host, Richie Schneider, and joined as always for a weekly wrestling segment with our wrestling analyst, Joey Klender. Joey, it was an exciting weekend for Penn State wrestling. They ended up winning again, but 22-13 against number 8 Nebraska, one of the better Nebraska teams in recent history. Just give me your initial thoughts from that match.
Yeah, it was a really tough match. They had to overcome a lot of adversity and come from behind, and some guys had to step up. And it was easily the biggest challenge the Lions have had all year, and I think that they will have, obviously. But Nebraska is a great team, top to bottom, and they matched up with Penn State really well at some weights, and they were able to get bonus points and kind of make things close. It was a very entertaining match, and a lot of kids from Nebraska. There's going to be a lot of kids from that team on the podium in March. So,
yeah, for sure. Let's just start from the beginning. Caleb Smith with the major decision over Braden Davis. Is there any kind of concern now for Davis now that the freshman's lost a couple?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously as the true freshman and at the beginning of the year, winning the spot, getting it over Howard and getting it over Steen, he impressed a lot of people because he went out and he was offensive and just wrestled really well for being a true freshman. But I think that he kind of had a lot of that, I don't have anything to lose mentality early on. And now that he's dropped a couple, I think he's kind of lost that. You could tell that he's a little more hesitant on his feet with his attacks, and he's not shooting as much, which is kind of disappointing because, he was really doing a good job of getting to his leg attacks and finishing shots and scoring points. And he's kind of gone away from that since the Iowa match. So I'm kind of hoping that he gets back on the ball with that. Actually, he was, he was getting some good coaching from Carter Starachi after the match on Sunday, on the bench and everything. So good bit of leadership there from Carter. But I mean, I think that things will get ironed out before it's too late. I still think Davis will probably be an All-American, but I think that, Smith is a really good wrestler. He's super talented. It almost seemed like there was like a strength advantage there a little bit. Like, I mean, I said to you right before we started the pod, it was almost like a man versus boy kind of thing. It just seemed like a graduate student versus a true freshman. It was almost like he was just getting bullied out there for a little bit. I don't think that the major really reflects the matchup there. I think Davis can definitely beat Smith. I mean, he was beating him, into the second period. I'm pretty sure. Smith was able to capitalize on, Davis's, risky. I just feel like he's putting himself in a lot of risky positions, and he was able to get away with them when he had that confidence. He's kind of lost that swagger, and I hope he gets it back. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough for freshmen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Any sport, not just the wrestling, but it's just when you kind of get that adversity against you, it's either hit or make or break, basically.
Right.
Kind of moving on a little bit, 133 pounds. No Aaron Nagao. Any concerns there? I know Shunk ended up losing, but.
No, I don't think so. I think that I heard Nagao's just dealing with an illness, so better get it now than Big Tens or get it at Nationals. So, Shunk looked all right. He did a good job going out there and put on a pretty good effort and everything. So, but yeah, we're hoping to see Nagao back this Sunday. We'll hope for that and we'll see, how he's looking going into the postseason.
Yeah, one of the more exciting matches. Bo Bartlett defeated Brock Hardy in a decision. Obviously, some controversial things at the end, hence the tweets from Brock Hardy right afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that Penn State's been getting a couple calls the last few weeks. With the Bryce Jordan Center, the camera, Davis against Ohio State. I mean, there's a couple things that are kind of iffy, but I've seen kind of perspectives on how that match went, and I see it both sides. I saw, obviously Hardy and Mark Manning and the Nebraska coaching staff, they were pretty upset about that potentially dangerous call. And do I think it was a little quick? Yes, I do. I thought it was a little fast. I've seen guys with much more torque on their knees, and the match continues.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the official's job is to protect the wrestler, and that's what he did. His best interest was in keeping the wrestler safe. And so I think that there's an argument both ways. But I mean, Bo looked really good in that match. He just kind of gave up a takedown sort of late. That made things kind of close. And then that put him in that dicey situation where the potentially dangerous kind of saved him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Brock Hardy's, a very good opponent. He beat Bo in the Big Ten semis last year and went to the Big Ten finals. And, he's no slouch by any means. And, Bo, even though he's number one and he's undefeated, there's a lot of really capable guys at that weight class. And he's not going to really have an easy match the rest of the year past this weekend. I think that, I think that, I don't know if he's going to get as many favorable calls, going into the postseason. I have to think that there's like a little bit of that home field advantage. As somebody who's supported this team and everything for a very long time, and it's easy to see when calls kind of go in that direction. If those same calls went against Penn State, I mean, I'd be just as pissed as other people. So I would understand, but 41's a really interesting weight class, and Bo's got the potential to win it, but I think that he needs to, the first thing he did when he came out of the match is went in, took a shot, and finished. I think he can do that against anybody. I think he just needs to trust himself enough to do it more than once in a match. So
yeah, for sure. Next matchup was Ridge Lovett versus Tyler Kasich. Kasich ended up losing 7-3 in the decision, but I think he put up a decent fight. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Ridge Lovett, number one in the country, really good guy. Super solid wrestler, and Kasich as a freshman filling in, for Van Ness. I think we both kind of expected it to be a little more decisive than it was, and Kasich put up a really good fight, and he actually had a couple opportunities to win the match even. And so, I don't know. I think moving into the postseason, I think Kasich's really going to make some noise. I expect him to be an All-American this year, and I think, moving into next year, it kind of makes things interesting to see what the lineup could be like, because you really don't want a guy like Kasich sitting on the bench, nor do you want him transferring out and going to another school, because he's capable of starting. But yeah, I mean, he wrestled a great match, and I think he defied expectations. Even though he lost, I think he did a super, super good job. So really impressed with Kasich thus far.
Now, I know the rest of the lineup's pretty heavily stacked in Penn State's favor for most matches, if not all matches. But do you think there was any kind of concern among the Penn State staff and even the fan base going into match number 5 when you're down, when you lost 3 out of 4?
From my perspective, personally, when I was watching the match, was I worried? No. Just because I think that, like you said, the rest of the lineup's so deep that if you need bonus points, I think you can count on those guys to get them. Especially Starachi, Brooks, and Kirk. Like, I think you can kind of, if you're Cale Sanderson, can you say to them, hey, we need you to go out and get a major. We need you to go out and get a tech. We need you to go out and try to pin this guy. I think that they're gonna do everything in their power to make that happen.
Yeah. Now, not
definitely concern though.
Yeah, I was gonna say not a concern of losing the match. I should say more concerns of just like, oh shit, like we just lost 3 or 4 to Nebraska.
I mean, and that's kind of, I wouldn't say it's what fans expect, because the latter half of the lineup has been so strong for like, years, or like over a decade. That's where they've made their money. 65 to 285. But I mean, I won't lie, like, anything can happen in this sport, and weird, stranger things have happened where really good guys who are number one, who are the outright favorite at that weight class, something happens and they lose. So I don't think that there was any like true fan that was sitting there and was like, oh, we're in trouble. But I think there were people that are probably like, well, I mean, stranger things have happened. And, there is an opportunity for Nebraska to come in and steal one of those really crucial weights in the latter half of the duel and steal this thing. And it was entirely possible. I mean, all you need is some guy to get hurt and then you lose 6, or make a mistake. Like we saw Bernie Truex against Ohio State, looked great. I mean, he was sailing, cruising to a major, gets pinned. Like it happened. So I don't think anybody was genuinely concerned, but I think there was definitely like a little bit of worry as to like, okay, well, this is a little closer than we kind of thought. And then I don't think anybody really expected Davis to get major. I wasn't expecting that, but I mean, it happened, and that's in a duel that's this close. That's not necessarily split, but there's quite a few matches going the other way. That one team point is drastic. So, I mean, it was definitely closer than I think a lot of people wanted it to be. But
yeah, for sure. Next couple matches are kind of, I don't want to say they were predictable, but like between Haynes and Mesenbrink, you kind of saw both of those coming, although Mesenbrink actually had a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Haynes came out, and I think that he kind of put it on himself to change the atmosphere and the feel of the duel. He went out and just put on an offensive like clinic, and he just looked really good. I mean, it was typical of him. He's not a guy that's going to go out and give a half-hearted effort at.
Yeah, of course.
Mitch, he poked a kid in the eye. What was it? Taylor. He poked Taylor in the eye, and I think that kind of pissed him off. And then, that first takedown that he had against Mitch was slick. It was fast. It was powerful. And I think that Mitch actually kind of like struggled to get up a little bit. It looked like he might have tweaked a rib or something. But he came out and, looked really good the rest of the match. It's, sometimes really good kids get taken down. It happens. It's Division I wrestling. So, but yeah, I mean, Mitch did have a bit of a challenge. I think that, he's going to have plenty of those for the rest of the year. But, like champions do, they overcome adversity, and he went out and didn't let it dictate the whole match. And he looked great the rest of the time. So,
Carter, tech fall, not anything really. There's not. I don't even know if there's really anything to say other than kind of saw this one coming, but
right.
Pinto though, Pinto did end up beating Truex, and Truex has had a lot of struggles this year.
Yeah, Bernie, he's been kind of frustrating to watch in all honesty, because he's really capable of beating a lot of really good kids. Like we were victims of it the last year because of what he did to Max Dean. So, I mean, I expect him to All-American. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think it will. I think that Bernie, Pinto is a really, really good kid. And Bernie, you put 5 more seconds on that clock, that match is probably going Bernie's way, but it didn't. He couldn't finish that takedown yet. He did a really good job of pushing the pace at the end of the match, which was really nice to see. It gets frustrating when you see guys that are like on the verge, like they need a takedown, and the other guys like obviously run out of gas and they just don't shoot, or they take like a half. I mean, any sport that pisses me off. Like, I'll never forget when Nate Diaz like cracked Leon Edwards, and there was a minute left in the fight, and Leon's like in outer space, and Nate just wouldn't go after him. It's like the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
But Bernie, he really pushed the pace. He kept shooting and almost finished that shot at the end to win the match. So, it wasn't like it was. It wasn't like it was like some upset and Bernie got out wrestled. It was a really good match between 2 really good guys, and hopefully we get to see that again, because it was a very entertaining match. I mean, both of them were just game for whatever, and it was fun to watch. So, hats off to both of them. But Bernie, it's been kind of a weird year for him, and I think a lot of people, me included, were maybe expecting a little more consistency and maybe a little more awareness. But, moving into later parts of the year, this is when the team really does put things together and kind of wrestles a little bit more logically, I guess. I think it's a little more strategic, because I think Kale is just really good at putting game plans together for when it really counts. So, I think Bernie will be fine. I just think that I think there just needs to be a little bit more thinking when he's wrestling, I guess.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Brooks and Kirk. I mean, same thing as Strachey. Does it really just
Right.
same old, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, at the overall pretty good match. A little interesting at times for sure.
For sure.
But any other takeaways before we kind of move on from this?
No, I mean, I do think that it was about time that we saw this team go through some dual meet adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people wanted to see that. Even diehard fans wanted to see the team kind of get pushed a little bit and challenged. Yeah. And it's important that that happens a couple of times a year. I mean, you know, Michigan should have been a close duel and it wasn't. Iowa should have been a close duel and Penn State was like, you know, literally a few seconds away from shutting them out. And at 20, you know, they only lost 25-49 and could have went either way. So, you know, it's nice to see this team kind of like not coast through the year with this really easy schedule. It was nice that they had to earn this Big Ten regular season dual meet title.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see them have to work through some adversity, and I think it only made the team stronger. But, you know, was there really any doubt is the question.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, no, but yeah, it's so easy. I mean, I don't want to say it's super easy, but they make it look so easy, I should say.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys ranked number 1 in the country at their own weights, it's like, oh, okay, just need those 5 to win, and I'm done. Like,
right, you gotta have the duel locked up right there.
It's insane.
And like you were saying, I mean, 74, 97, and 80 and 285. It's like, okay, you got 3 of the 5 knocked up, like already locked up, and then on top of it, you can basically expect those 3 guys to get you bonus points almost every match, which is, I mean, it's just incredible. A huge advantage from a dual meet perspective, and then when the tournament time starts. So, yeah.
Well, they did go through some adversity, like you said, but this weekend, probably not. If I had to guess,
yeah, probably
Edinboro is not good whatsoever. I don't believe any of these people are ranked. I'm looking at their lineup right now. They're 2-11 as a team in dual meets. A lot of freshmen in this lineup, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 freshmen. Wow, geez,
young team.
6 freshmen in this lineup. I know Penn State in their preview has the entire starting lineup going for them. Do you think that's what they're going to rock with, or do you think we'll see a couple like reserve guys get some matches in? Because it is such like I mean, I guess it's their last duel for 2 weeks, so maybe you do want to get your starters out there, but at the same time, it's like I don't even want to risk anyone, to be honest with you, against these guys.
You have to wonder who, after this year, who has the senior label is coming back, because everybody in this lineup who was there during COVID has the opportunity to come back for another year.
Yeah.
So, being that it's senior day, I don't think any of the seniors sit out.
Fair.
I think that's pretty obvious. But in terms of like, if anybody else is going to sit, I don't think so. I don't think that if this was the beginning of the year, sure, because, you know, you want guys to stay healthy and you want to like deal with load management, as they call it in the NBA. But, you know, this is the end of the year. This is the last duel of the year. This is the last bit of competition you have before Big Tens. So, no, I don't think anybody's going to be sitting. You know, but who knows? Maybe somebody's thinking about coming back another year and they'll sit somebody. I don't know, but I don't think so. Yeah. I think it's going to be the full lineup.
So just because from my own personal knowledge, I believe it's the 2020-2021 season that doesn't count, correct?
I think that's right, because that was the year. Well, no, it would have been 2019-2020, wouldn't it? Because COVID hit
it was
February
2020. Yeah, but then the season coming up. So, I mean, they canceled the Big Ten tournament and NCAA tournaments, but the next season doesn't count, I believe, correct?
I think, okay, yes. I think you're right there.
Yeah. So that would mean technically, if I'm reading this correct, 1, 2, 3, since Strachey definitely redshirted in 2019, 2020 doesn't count, 2021, 2022, and then this is 2023. He has technically one more year, right?
I think so, yeah. I think
Carter has a year. Bo has a year. I want to say Kirk has a year too.
I want to say Bo. I want to say if I could put money on anybody coming back, I would bet Bo is coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, I guess so you're going to return a good amount of this lineup next year.
Yeah,
If they
and like,
want, if they want.
right. Starachi, I don't think is coming back. I think, we talked about how, before the year he announced he's coming back, and I don't think anybody even believed for a freaking second that he wasn't. But, he's like to me, a better situation coming out of college than Bo Nickel was. Because Bo was he was well known and everything, and I think it was pretty obvious that he was going to go to the MMA, circuit, and he kind of, I wouldn't say lucked out, but I think that him being a 3-time national champion, him having all those accolades, him being very successful, led him to that Dana White Contender Series, and he immediately went to the UFC.
Yeah.
Whereas Anthony Cassar's got to do the regional thing and kind of work his way up.
Yeah, of course.
Starachi's going to have the accolade of 4-time NCAA champion, Penn State's first 4-time NCAA champion. Granted, if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah.
And I think that with the way NIL is now, and I think that some of the wrestlers, probably him and Brooks and Bo mostly, have benefited off of that. I think Carter's going to leave because he's just got so much money waiting for him, I would imagine. I would probably say, I don't know if this is for sure or whatever, but I bet that he probably ends up staying in State College, training at ATT with Bo and everybody else, and that's probably where he's going to be. And I think Carter's going to be in MMA in 2 years. I don't think he'll do the Olympic route. I think he might. I'm not 100% sure, but is he doing the World Team Trials? The Olympic trials?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know we talked about it the other day, right?
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. That's at Bryce Jordan coming up in April, I think it is.
Right.
Yeah. I have it popped up right here.
I just wasn't sure if he was planning to do that or not. He is not on the list.
Okay. Well, there you go then.
So I wouldn't imagine that he's going to do any sort of international wrestling when he's done with college. I think that he's probably going to go straight to MMA and make his money.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be interesting to follow that. Unfortunately, I think Aaron Nagao returns, right?
Well, he's only a sophomore, so yeah.
But he's just been really bad lately.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm intrigued to see that lineup, how it looks next year when Van Ness comes and is fully healthy. And
right, because
got to bump people around a little bit.
Because Kasich has looked really good. So you wonder, with Starachi leaving, can you bump Mesenbrink to 74, Haynes to 65, and Kasich and Van Ness wrestle off for 49 and 57? Can you make that argument? And then,
Do you trust Truett or Nagao again, or do you go get a transfer or something?
I think that depending on what he does, I don't think they're ever going to be you got to go. But,
no, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, I think how he does in the postseason is going to be a big indicator, because if he does an All-American, one, it's a huge disappointment, and two, I mean, you have to think they're going to be looking for either an incoming freshman or a transfer, because I mean, I think the whole expectation with him coming in the first place was that he was going to contribute massively to the team race, and him being a returning All-American and, having that experience and having that accolade is big. But like you said, I mean, he's just been kind of underwhelming. I mean, it's a shame to say that because, when he transferred, I think a lot of people were really excited, but I think a lot of people are, dare I say, disappointed in how he's performed this year, just because he hasn't really been that great. He hasn't been that missing link or anything. Not that this lineup's weak at any point, but I think this is just also a testament of us being so spoiled as fans of his team for years, because he's really he's not a bad wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. He's very good. He just has kind of just, like you said, I think he's just kind of been a little disappointing this year in terms of everything, but you don't know what he's dealing with behind closed doors, and I think that he just needs to kind of develop a little more. Kids get better as their careers in college go on. I think that I've said for a while now, he needs a different leg attack. He needs to stop getting into scrambles with guys, and he wins the matches he should for the most part, but it just kind of been a little underwhelming from my perspective. So
now, is there any chance in hell? Because I'm looking now, I'm looking at Braden Davis. He technically wrestled in high school at the 138-pound championship. Can he get bumped up and then they just get a 125 again? Or you have another hole there, I guess?
I don't know, because 25 has been so historically weak.
Yeah. It'd be
I
interesting.
would imagine, I'm going to be honest, I think that the lineup stays the way it is in terms of 25, 33, and 41, just because Davis is only going to get better. He's already been really impressive. And in terms of what everyone was expecting before the year started at 25, nobody expected 25 to go this well.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody knew who was going to start. Nobody knew Davis was going to be this good. Steen, okay, he's gotten better, but all the preseason previews and all the podcasts we did, we all thought that Robbie Howard was starting at 25. We all thought Robbie Howard was going to be the guy, and it became abundantly clear that he's not, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Disappointing, but it is what it is. But Davis has really defied expectations. I don't think anybody expected us to have a guy who's in the top 10, who's got a couple really good wins and has a record well over 500. Guy's 15-2. I think most people expected Steen to start and go 7-11 and go 0-2 at nationals from a realistic standpoint.
Yeah.
Davis is only going to get better. He's going to get stronger. He's still a little undersized to me in terms of he still looks like it. He looks like an 8th grader.
It's true.
So,
yeah, no kidding. So we don't. It's going to be such an easy match. That match is Sunday or Saturday? Sunday. Yeah, Sunday against Edinboro. I think it's on BTN Plus or BigTen Plus, whatever you want to call it. 2 p.m. Rec Hall. If you don't have tickets already, I don't know. Go buy them, I guess. You can go to SeatGeek. We have a promo code actually now on SeatGeek. Penn State Rivals gets you $20 off any SeatGeek order. It's only your first order, so use that.
Use it wisely.
Use it. Yeah, and if you want, just go make a new email and get the $20 off again. So that's what I've been doing. It's smart. But yeah, no. Other than that, I guess the other thing I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit before we sign off today. Big Tens are coming up in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
3 weeks,
a little over 2 weeks.
Okay,
March 9th. Now I know they're going to be favored at 285, 197, and probably 174, and then 157. So that's what was that, 4 weights, 5 weights, 4 weights. Do we think any of these other guys have a shot at winning Big Tens? Because I'm looking now, there's definitely competition at 125. There's competition at 133. 141. There's definitely competition, but Bo is going to be the favorite, I guess. So yeah, 5 weights are going to be the favorite probably.
Yeah, the way Bo's wrestled this year, tough to see anybody beating him, to be honest. But the thing is Jesse Mendez gave him a good match. Real Woods was probably his best performance of the year. And then you have Hardy to worry about. So there's quite a few guys there that could make things interesting.
Any of the other weights really concerning?
65, I think. Mesenbrink has a real shot to win that. He's the second highest ranked Big Ten wrestler. He's got Dean Hamidi, who's right above him.
Yeah.
From Wisconsin. So, but he beat Caliendo. He beat Amin. I think Mitch will probably win Big Tens. I think he might sneak into nationals as a 3rd seed. Then the other thing that we have to look forward this weekend is Carr and O'Toole, because they're both going to be wrestling this weekend. Then they're going to wrestle again at Big 12s.
Okay.
And so that could make, if Mitch wins Big Tens, then whoever loses that match, or whoever loses Big 12s, I would say probably impending, unless something crazy happens. But whoever loses the Big 12 match will be who Mitch would wrestle in the semis, because he'll hit the 2 seed.
Yeah.
And I would imagine O'Toole and Carr will be 1 and 2 seeding wise.
Yeah. Pretty accurate.
So, but then, Olenek from Oklahoma State is ranked 3rd. So,
yeah, so another Big 12.
Another Big 12 kid. So, pretty interesting there. But in terms of who's capable of winning, I'm going to say Davis probably doesn't win Big Ten. Nagao, I'm not going to be super optimistic there. I don't think Nagao wins Big Tens.
Mm-hmm.
Bo, I think, wins Big Tens. I think Kasich probably makes the finals but loses.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
I think Haynes wins. I think Mesenbrink wins. Starachi's going to win. Truex,
Salazar, Pinto.
He could get Pinto again, and I think he can beat Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
The kid that he got pinned by from Ohio State, Rogotsky.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's better than that kid. I mean, I think he was like I said earlier, he was cruising to a major in that match and then just got caught.
Yeah.
Truex actually has a legitimate chance to win.
Be quite
Brooks is going to win, and Kirk's going to win. What'd you say?
I said that'd be quite a switch up for Truex considering the struggles recently, but
right. Yeah. And he could. The other thing is that guys really do peak. Some of these guys will peak at the right time, and then the other thing you have to consider is Penn State's not going to tip their hand at Big Tens. They're not going to cut off their nose to spite their face and try to win a Big Ten title and then sacrifice, a national championship, because Vincenzo Joseph is a perfect example of that. Guy never won a Big Ten title.
Mm-hmm.
But every single year when it counted, he beat Marinelli. Marinelli would beat him every freaking year at Big Tens, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Marinelli's better. And then when it counted, Marinelli was never near Vincenzo in terms of like national. So,
yeah.
And I think that goes with a lot of guys. I mean, there's quite a few Penn State guys that just really didn't do great at Big Tens in terms of like winning it. I mean, they make the finals, but they'd lose, and then they'd go to nationals and they'd win. So yeah, I mean, let's see. Realistically, Davis could win 25. Mm-hmm. So there's one. Bo could win 41. I'm not going to say Kasich's going to win 49 because I just don't think it's going to happen. But you got Haynes, Mesenbrink, Starachi. Truex is definitely a possibility. Brooks is probably going to win, and Kirk's going to win. That's 8 of 10.
Yeah.
You're looking at maybe 8 guys in the finals, potentially. I would say, realistically, 5 is probably a good number because shit happens. But you're looking at a chance for 8 of them.
That's something else.
Which is unbelievable at that conference tournament. But
yeah,
that's how good the team is. It's how deep it is.
It's been absolutely insane this year. I shouldn't even say this year. The past couple of years, it's just been absolute dominance from Penn State at not just the Big Ten level, but even like the out-of-conference matches too. But
right.
That's all I really got. Anything else really before we sign off? I think there's nothing else really going on. Just waiting for this Edinboro match, and then right to Big Tens in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Down in College Park. So March 9th and 10th will be that. But this weekend, Sunday, 2 p.m., Big Ten Plus, BTN Plus, whatever the hell you want to call it, Plus. I don't know. Rec Hall's got a little magic in it still, I guess, from that basketball game. So that's.
How about that?
I can't believe it. You see everyone on Twitter is like, keep him in Rec Hall, play basketball in Rec Hall, and I'm sure wrestling's like, no, dude, like you one off, see you later, get the fuck out, like.
Man,
yeah, great win for Penn State basketball though,
for sure.
All right, yeah, for me and Joey, that's another episode of the PSU 365 podcast. Signing off.